Meeting to order. Everyone please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ashley, can I have roll call, please?
Fisher. Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Kressel. Glott.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Hibma. Here. Jurdy.
Here.
Okay, this is time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Okay, hearing none from the chambers. Chad, anybody on the phone bridge, please?
No one this evening, Your Honor. I'll close the bridge.
Thank you.
Agent logged off.
Okay, we have one presentation tonight. That's the Houston Avenue erosion presentation. I think we have Margaret. Yep. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Harrington Stevens. Most people know me as Meg. And I'm here to talk about the erosion and sloughing and dike instability of the properties and homes on Houston Avenue on the river side of the street. The Homes on Houston Avenue Cliff Committee, we've called ourselves. Here with me tonight, I live at 263. We don't actually live at 263 Houston Avenue, but tonight I have my neighbors Carrie Olson and Matt Huffman and Mary Farley, all residents of Houston Avenue, who were able to accompany me tonight. Okay, so I'll just, give me, I'm not really good at this, just gonna go right into. So, since the announcement in March 2023, where Brandon Carlson, representing the city, said that their perception that our 8 homes needed to be removed, we as homeowners on Houston Avenue have been in limbo. And we have been asking ourselves and asking what is the role of the city and other government entities to solve the issues we are facing. And so you'll see on some slides the issues that we are facing. And I believe most of you got a 4-page information about the problems, so I don't need to go into that. One of the questions we have is what happened to the support from Governor Walz based on a Crookston Times article from on May 22nd of 2022. And a couple more questions to which we do have some promising answers. First is the question of who can pay for the engineer. And the need for alternative and solution and plans, and for that, Mr. Getzman has some information.
So I've been meeting with the watershed, and our last meeting, they just approved for the watershed to put $12,000 towards a geotech survey of the area. And that is, as far as the watershed, I believe, has gone so far, correct? Yeah, and depending on what they get from that survey, the results, it'll tell them which direction they need to go. And as of right now, there's no ask from the city either. They just want us to be involved or aware of what's going on.
Can we explain a little bit more about what that geotech survey is actually going to do?
So from our perspective, we're looking for projects where we can reduce erosion going into the river. That's
Right.
through the One Watershed One Plan. I don't know if you heard about that with Red Lake River One Watershed One Plan. We prioritized areas where we want to improve water quality and primarily reducing sediment loading to the Red Lake River. And Red Lake River from Thief River Falls through Crookston is one of the priority areas. This bank
a pretty highly visible area where there's active erosion going on. And we found out that there's more erosion going on where those homes are. And typically, like when we've done a erosion control project or designed one, like we just got done designing a project by Crescent Avenue, we want to look at what's going on in the soils below the surface. Is that mainly that Hewitt layer of fat clay is very, very unstable. It's got like half the strength of the layers above and below it. And so it causes some problems. It's part of what we had the 6th Street slough and the slough out by Highway 2 where just big chunks of the landscape rotate into the river. And so they need to figure out what they need to do in order to create a safe slope. And typically that's involved a lot of rock to weigh down that toe and also some re-sloping. So we slope it back. And that's where we kind of run into kind of a roadblock with the houses being close by. Like we want to stabilize it, yet the houses might be too close to stabilize for the resloping like we would normally do unless there's another option. So yeah, we're going to have an engineer look at it to get kind of a second opinion and recommendations of what we should do. And part of that is, yeah, they'll do some soil borings to see what's down there, how deep that fat clay layer is. So.
Sure. So basically, just so my understanding of this is that this survey is going to allow you to kind of just see really the stability of the space and like what could be actually implemented in order to stabilize it?
Yeah, so they'll kind of come up with a concept plan for what they can do to stabilize it. And then there's been some talks about, you know, if the homes need to be bought out, like obviously the city or the watershed district, that we're not in the business of doing that or don't have the money to do that, but there are some sources of funding, some possible sources of funding that have been identified. Okay. But in order to apply for that, there's some information that we need to get and that geotechnical survey would provide some of that information that we need for the application, okay. I guess.
Do we have a timeline for the survey?
Well, it'd probably be, that part would probably take place throughout this coming year, I would think, because now that we've approved it, like Houston Engineering is who they put on the task, and they move pretty quickly. I mean, in a lot of the ways we move at the speed of government, but yeah, that's Houston Engineering does a pretty good job, and all the HDR has done a pretty good job for us too. So it's kind of a matter of months instead of years, I guess.
Sure. I guess that's something to be said for government. But can I also ask then, like, is it season specific? Like, do you wait till like the spring where you have the snow melt, or?
I guess we don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Crescent Avenue, they might have done, I think they did some of the borings in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I guess my question is obviously flood season happens again in the spring, and
right, it's gonna make it worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. But,
Yeah.
It's been a mild winter. Maybe we won't get a lot of snow for you.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Seems very, okay, how much do we have? We have time to do a little more. Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you so much, Corey. One of the things that to bring attention to this and to reach back and to know that this has been a problem with the dike, with the sloughing and the erosion has been occurring for multiple years, and its attention was called to it in in a video call with Governor Walz that was printed in the Times. Times has one-on-one with Governor Walz on May 23rd of 2022, and we have, thank you, the slide showing the back. This is the back of Carrie and Brian Olson's house on Houston Avenue with our neighbor Gene Westman, who's not here tonight. Waltz said, "These types of events, like 100-year floods, will happen more frequently." And he has proposed adding millions in flood fight funds to the budget. One community can't do it alone. We can't expect Crookston to do it alone. We're in this together with our neighbors. So that's reaching out to all the way to the Capitol to know that they have expressed a willingness to support this project. Here on the next slide, we have next one. That was just some slides showing, it's a little hard to see. This was my backyard. The ground is sinking. It's hard to tell, but you can tell mainly by the fence is sinking down. And what you can't see is that the ground is cut out underneath the backyard. And so it's unstable when you step on it. It feels unstable. And then again, the next, you can see, again, it's not super clear, but you can see the slant in the fence. And then behind, there's kind of a light brown building, which is Matt Huffman's garage. It is tilting, falling towards the back, hanging off, and the bottom, I mean, we could produce more pictures and photographs. The bottom of the garage is bowing out as the riverbank sloughs away more and more. Oops, okay. Okay, so now to quickly talk about, just touch on what we see are the biggest risks. One of the things is the river surrounds the entire woods addition, and there is a certified Army Corps dike creating a half circle, but any kind of breach of that dike would flood the woods addition. The lift station across from our backyards is protected by a cement wall, and that is my understanding that it has directed the water and ice as the ice melts and it comes around the corner, and it's just been taking off our backyards bit by bit, large chunk by large chunk. And something that's more recent is the street needs water pipe repair, which they started but they cannot do the water pipe repair on our section of Houston Avenue. Or they didn't do it. I don't know if they're going to do it. It's just something, but it will have to be done if you want to keep water to the homes on Houston Avenue.
And you're at that 10-minute mark, so you have about
Okay.
5 more minutes.
Okay, okay, super fast. The progression has escalated. If no action is taken, it will not only impact the homes, but the street, and at some point, homes on the other side of the streets. There are environmental risks. Water quality is a concern, and landslide risk, the dike collapse, old pipes leaking, and once erosion gets so bad, you get to a point where you can, like, the dike will no longer hold the equipment needed. And you have further impacts like down the river and things like wildlife and fish, and I don't know a lot about that. And we already covered engineering firms. And so then can we skip to the slide of the banks collapsing? Yes, so this is, it's steep, it's a cliff, it's a drop off. The next, large chunks fall out. Recently, this is recent, of large chunks where it's just trees holding, it looks like giant fingerprints, it looks like giant hands have clawed out where the chunks have fallen. The next slide shows a larger view from the side. You can see it's a steep drop off, and it's only about 17 steps from the backs of these homes to the drop off. And then the next, this is a little hard to see, but the fence is over the water. You look down and you can see the river is visible from this shed. And on the next slide, this is my next door neighbor, Robbie Gregoire, the back of her shed. It's washed away right to the edge of her shed, and you can see this dark area. That's where it's cut out underneath her property, and that's next door to me, and you can't really do a good examination without thinking you might fall. But yeah, it's cutting out quite badly. And next, Large portions of the backyards are gone. Property is like right on the edge of this cliff. And then the DNR agent I spoke to, Samantha Clam, told me to please put caution tape up around my property, so to caution people not to go back there because it's so unstable. She described our yards as at imminent risk. And then the next slide shows actual property hanging over the cliff. And as the stability, continues, we mark it with a fence, and the fences have moved back further and further. And so our request to finalize the presentation, we on Houston Avenue, we need our local city government, the city of Crookston, to partner with county, state, and government entities to find funding, correct the issues, and provide a clear path for the work. Keep in mind, often any money spent or remuneration for time can be reimbursed in many grants. Homeowners will need a timeline and particulars of the project so that we can resume making decisions for our homes, our property, and our lives. Thank you.
Thank you. There are questions from council. I just got a couple here. When you spoke with the DNR person that came and said that was unstable, did she, I guess, talk to any power players in her field of what possibly the city can do?
Okay, let me go back for just a second. So Samantha Clam was contacted. She works for it's the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Services. Nicole, I want to say that Nicole burned at Polk County Soil and Water Commission was somebody that she knew and had spoken to.
Can you come to up here so
Come to the
everybody can hear?
podium, please.
Thank you. I just need direction. So, may I?
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Nicole Bird, West Polk Soil and Water Conservation District. It's okay.
All right.
The lady from the DNR is Stephanie Klam, Klamm. She is our area hydrologist, and her office is out of Thief River Falls. Know that we've been in conversation with the homeowners and also with the DNR and with the Watershed District for quite a few months now. In fact, this summer, I want to say we started conversations. They contacted us as to what do we do, who do we talk to? So know that the homeowners have made that effort to reach out to the local government entities and also the city. There has been correspondence between all of us as to what to do. So in relation to what Ms. Klom had indicated on the riverbank being intimate and something needs to be done, absolutely. There needs some action there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Corey, regarding this geotech study, or survey, I should say, once that's done, we would have more direction as far as to which route to go. I mean,
Right. Yeah, okay, I gotta answer the question. Yeah, the first question is, can we stabilize it the way it is now? And yeah, if there's the need for moving property to stabilize it, then we'd have to, then we'd have that, we would know for sure, I guess, when we get the engineer's opinion on it, I guess.
so that geotech survey, that involves an engineering firm coming in and,
Yeah, Houston Engineering, and, yeah, maybe they hire a subcontractor for the actual boring work, but yeah, they're gonna start taking a look at it, yeah.
right, thank you.
Corey, what's your best guess about timeline?
Oh, well, look, I can just go by what happened with Crescent Avenue. We started looking at that one, I think we found out about it in the summer, like June, July of 2022. And by around this time last year, or early this year, we were meeting with the homeowners, showing them a concept of what would need to be done. And then we had kind of final designs by midsummer for a stabilization project, so.
Corey, is the Crescent project still going forward?
Unfortunately, no. The homeowners inexplicably backed out of the project. Like the engineers bent over backwards to meet their demands to protect trees, protect forest, and everything. But they were nervous about there being a rock slope instead of grass, but it's going to wash away and be a cliff. So I don't know why it didn't go forward. Yeah, we spent, it was like over $60,000 on engineering for that.
Yeah, 60,000. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Not for you, sorry. Chuck, I don't know if like you can answer these, and I understand, I'm gonna say the caveat that you're pretty new, so I get that. But there's a couple things I wanted to know if we could address in the conversation. It's up to you. One is, I think there was some concern about like the street water repair not being done. And was there some type of justification as to why it wouldn't be done for Houston, for their houses?
Yeah, so talking to our city engineer at Widseth,
Yep.
I had mentioned that the streets in front of their houses there, I said, was there made mention that there was some kind of instability and that's why we're not working on that area? He told me no.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure if the instability came from the conversation or email with the DNR or anything like that. According to our city engineer, he said he didn't make any mention of that.
Okay.
We're just working on that section, replacing the utilities in the ground there. And then we're coming back and we're going to pave the road, put blacktop down. And then according to Widseth, at some point in time, we're going to continue on.
Okay. And then I just want to get some clarification. Meg, I know you had mentioned too about the lift station somehow affecting the erosion. Can you elaborate on that?
And this is, I'm not an expert.
Sure.
but-
No, I'm
and
just curious.
Over the years of living in Crookston and living in that house and watching the backyard, a third of it disappear into the river. And the lift station, of course, has to be, is important and has to be
Sure.
protected. And I wish that I had something to back this up other than somewhere along the lines, it was said that there was a possibility that the reason for the sudden change in the erosion, because it started happening very rapidly after they put in the lift station and they tore down the arena.
Sure.
It's like it changed the flow of the river. But again, I am not
Okay.
the person who can verify this. It was something that over, reading, studying, or hearing or talking to somebody where it was a change that happened after there was some man-made changes
Sure.
to that particular area. Really,
Okay.
it would definitely be looked into.
Okay.
Should be for.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then Chuck, do you have anything on that?
On that
Do you-
structure?
Yeah, about, I'm like, do you know anything as far as like the lift station having affected the?
So, to my knowledge, there's a lift station over there. They erected a flood wall to protect it. And there has been talk, I think Corey's mentioned it, and Gail has for sure mentioned it, that, with the height of it and during a high water event, it possibly could be redirecting the flow of ice and water.
Sure.
But
Okay.
not sure
Chuck?
how you would measure that.
Could you look into this? I'm just looking back and, I don't know who the engineering firms were, but you could possibly maybe find out if, maybe you can't, but they were saying that after the improvements in the early 2000s, that these two engineering firms didn't agree that that was the case.
Oh,
And I just want to find out,
sure.
Who and how they came to that assumption, I guess that's
Yeah.
what we're looking for. The only other question I have is in regards to the concerns with the levees, not stability of the levees. My understanding is that anytime we have like a high water event or like there's a certain amount of years, that we have to have the Army Corps of Engineers come in and like recertify the dikes. So can you talk a little bit more about like, is there been any concerns or anything that you know of? I know being brand new too, so this might be something they need to look into.
Sure.
But is there,
So to my knowledge, their section is out of the 100-year floodplain. There was a buyout, I believe, to the properties to their right and left. And then there was Army Corps levy that was installed on both sides. So those are certified. But there was, at that time, there was no need to do anything with their section.
Sure.
Just because it was so far out of the 100-year floodplain.
but there hasn't been any concerns about the recertifying those levees recently?
No, not to
Okay.
my knowledge.
Right, okay.
My question, I guess, for either of you is, what is, or if there is anything needed from the city right now, or is this just more of an information of like, this is what's happening and where we're moving and looking for to do?
Well, I speak for myself, my neighbors. We want a buyout of our homes because we've been researching this for a couple of years now, and I inherited my house from my parents, and it's a free house, and I can't even live in it because of the instability of the backyard. You know, and when it was mentioned, like, there's going to be a buyout, the first time that Mr. Carlson had mentioned it. Since then, nobody has been able to, like, well, should we sell our house? Should we rent it? Can't rent it. It's not stable. You know, you have to have certain safety measures, protocols, and it's just we don't know what we're going to do because we're really stuck with our property, and we see that other areas of town have faced not the same but some similar circumstances and have received grants and assistance, and we would love to have that same kind of reassurance and assistance, and in the local government, which we trust. We're all part of the same community and lived here a long time, and really we care about each other, our neighbors. We're all good friends. Some of us raised each other's kids, Anyway, I'll stop going on and on.
I guess my bigger question is understandably, like, my next question was like, what is the ideal solution here? My question is until we get this survey, is there anything that is needed from the city until that happens?
No, I mean, that's what we were anticipating would be this survey would be done and then go forth from that point.
I think we need to really make a distinction here that we can't be stuck on this 100-year floodplain idea. The erosion that's being caused from the time of the improvements to that flood wall adjacent to the lift station, there really hasn't been a study to determine if the effect of moving the river by that man-made
Like system?
wall has caused that erosion. And certainly anecdotally, and you've attested to this, it seems like it has. I had the opportunity to go onto the river this summer, and my buddy and I parked right in front of your homes, or in back of your homes there, and you don't get the same impression from the water that you do from above. It really is very stark how deeply gouged some of those areas of your properties are. So yeah, I think that the notion of a floodplain isn't what the working notion needs to be here. It's that there is significant erosion that's being caused by the high water and ice events from the Red Lake River.
Well, I guess when it comes
Margaret,
down
I'd
to it,
like
no matter-
to thank you for bringing this forward. We've been looking at that for a long time, so hopefully we can keep this going and keep us informed of what next steps are that the ward is looking at and all these other companies and so forth.
Absolutely, we will, yes.
Thank you.
So Chuck, I don't expect you to have the answer now, and maybe some folks like maybe Dale or Clayton might have a answer to this question. So if you go down our one-way here and you take a left, you go by Taco John's, go underneath the bridge and you go up the hill, and on the left-hand side, I remember when we first moved to town, there was some houses there, a house or houses.
6th Avenue, yeah.
So it's like, I'm looking on my phone here, it's just like, it'd be north of that North Pine Street anyhow. But them houses up there, I would think are not in a 100-year floodplain. And I'm thinking to myself that I think they're in a similar situation, what these folks are in. And what I want you to research and maybe get back to us as a council is how was that resolved back then?
Okay.
Well,
Because
part of that was related to the federal highway, because Highway 2 was endangered by that, by the erosion that was being caused there. So there was already federal interest in supporting,
But wasn't that
project.
east of town, or is that there?
Well,
There-
there was
there
both,
too.
east of town and on 6th Avenue.
So you think that those houses got bought out from the federal because of Highway 2, or?
That I don't know, it could be state or federal or both, because there was a motel there too.
Yeah, that's what I was remembering now.
That's
yeah.
Landslide Park. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Is that official?
I think
There
there's,
was some money involved in that, like
Yeah.
Dale said, federal and state. I remember, and it was, we were on the state side because.
So
you said
as
Kansas
to now
South
then,
Road, State road.
to anybody's recollection or knowledge, the city we don't have any precedent where the city has bought out any houses in Crookston for this type of situation?
Not that we know
So
of.
we're-
No.
Not with city money per se.
Yeah, like
but was it
FEMA, really.
Conduit or fiduciary for federal or state funds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at the end of the day, and I appreciate you guys bringing your concerns here, I think that it sounds like that this isn't a one government entity situation.
No.
This is multiple that need to work in conjunction. And if there's ways that we can assist you in that, that's, I think, what we're here for. I think the other side of this is just, as they were mentioning, I think there was multiple pots of funding, whether that was FEMA or, a state situation. And so I think we just need to find, let's do our first step here and just keep us informed in how we can assist going forward.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay.
Is this something that the EDA could help with at all, or anything like Carrie with, I know she's good at grants and stuff like that. Is there any type of?
Something to talk about.
Yeah.
Say,
I think there's options for that. I think we need to get step one first before we go from there.
Yeah.
And then see if in fact we find out how they can stabilize it and then what that cost is and then where can we get funding. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Margaret. Okay.
Okay, this brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? We have a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Thank you,
I'll
Tim. Is there-
second it.
Second by Clayton. Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Himma,
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, this brings us to the, motion carries, sorry. This brings us consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane. Roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. No public hearing, regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 8.01 is a resolution regarding adopting the 5-year capital improvement plan for 2024 through 2028.
Thank you. And do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor?
Second, Your Honor.
Got Tim and Don. Thank you. Discussion. Corky, please.
Yes, this is the capital improvement plan that's been used in coordination with our budgetary discussions. It sets out our 5-year expectations. That would either be funded by funds we already have, levy funds, or reserve funds. Hopefully, many of these things can get done, but this is what we expect and hope to do.
Corky, I just want to verify that this isn't set in stone and can be moved around as needed, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, because my understanding as we get all the appropriate reporting, that when we get, I believe Ellers in here to start doing the city financial business plan, that this could change based on how they want to assist with fundings and bonding, correct?
That's correct, and any of the items that would use reserve funds would certainly come before you. And if different objectives were reached, yes, it would come before the council.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. I know that in the past, just over the years, our 5-year capital improvement plan's always been a moving target.
Yeah.
It's been delayed or pushed back, or some moved forward. It's never really etched in stone, but it just gives us an idea where we're at. Further discussion. Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.02 is a resolution regarding adopting the property tax levy for taxes payable in 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve
So
this
moved, Your Honor.
resolution? Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Second by Clayton. Discussion. Corky, please.
Yes, this is the final budget proposal for levy. As we have discussed from the very beginning, it was also a moving target to get the levy to a point that you all felt was appropriate. The final levy proposal here is at 18.06% and down from 65.07. Audrey and I, during the last, 10 days, have looked for additional items, and you'll see on the sheet that accompanied this, we did find one item that adds revenue to this, and the final levy would be 18.063, which changes the city's tax rate from 64.5 to 68 point something. So that it's a change in the tax rate, similar to as the county expresses theirs, I believe, went up 2.5%. So, yes. It's
And the impact, the actual tax increase impact for property taxes is 4.49%.
Yeah, and what that means is last year, we had a tax rate of 64 point, let's say 5%. So if nothing had changed, we would have imposed that tax rate this year. But what we did is we added 4.5%, so now it's 68.33 here.
So I just want to make sure that the number that we're looking at is like what Tim said, 4.
Yes.
So the number, when you compare our city to other cities in the state, the other cities are roughly around 8%, right?
Correct.
And we're half of the average cities in the state of Minnesota.
4.49, 4.5%.
That's what I want the residents of Crookston to understand, we are half of what the rate for the average city in the state of Minnesota. So we are not at an ungodly high rate compared to the rest of the cities in the state.
And, yes, and you can do that it's fairly easy calculation. If you take your tax statement, look at your new 2024 home value, subtract homestead credit if it's there, that gives you a net tax capacity. You multiply that by 1%, that gives you the net tax capacity on your home, and then you multiply that by, let's just say 69.69%, that will give you a very good approximation of the tax responsibility for 2024.
Sounds good.
Further discussion?
And this needs to be certified by,
December 28th.
Okay, let's go.
Anyone else?
I just want to, before we go through, I just want to thank everybody on the council for, and the department heads and the city administrator and everybody involved. I think since I've been on the council, this is the most thoughtful we've went through our budgets, even though it started out rough and we had a few hiccups with sending out the high tax rate on the tax proposal, but the ultimately at the end of the day, I think we got it right. I mean, all of us are on this council to put the city of Crookston first. We're not on the council just to lower my personal taxes. I want to lower my personal taxes so I could just sit up here and say, I want it to be 1%, and that would help me financially. But I'm on this council to help the city of Crookston. So the city of Crookston comes to my mind first when I'm sitting in this chair. So even though I don't like to raise my own taxes, this is something that we put a lot of time and effort into taking care of our city.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Corky, I just wanted to clarify, because I've had a few people ask. So when you look at, let's say, the estimated market value, right?
Yes.
So let's say, look at a $200,000 house. That is an estimated monthly, right? So 104. That's what your monthly tax will be, or is that an increase for what your current monthly tax is?
I believe that's your monthly tax. Audrey can address that, and I can run you through an example on my own. I did it.
Yeah.
I've just had a few people that have asked.
Sure, no.
Yeah, so on a estimated market value of 150,000, your estimated annual property tax would be $869. If your home was estimated market value at 300,000, your annual estimated property tax would be $1,990.
I've just had a few people that think that's what the increase is. Like it's going to be $1,000 above what they currently pay.
No, those values are the estimated annual property tax that would be due.
Thank you.
Probably the main person I forgot to thank is Audrey, who has been
Yes,
working
thank you for everything,
hardest.
Audrey.
So yeah,
Thanks, Audrey.
sorry
And
I
thanks,
forgot to
Audrey.
mention you before.
I was gonna finish up with that, but you took it. I'm just gonna give you mine. Here's
Okay.
my home.
All right, go.
I have a 189,324 value. I got a $20,200 tax credit. So my net tax capacity is $169,100. Multiply that by 1%. That gives you $1,691. Okay, then you multiply it by our city tax rate, which is 0.6812. And that gives me, I'm gonna be paying $1,163.61 approximately. So I compared it to last year. If we kept it at zero increase, our tax rate was 0.64322. I would have paid $1,087.69. The difference, $75.92 on a $189,000 home. That to me is what, $6, no, $6 a month. Does that sound right? 12 months times $6. That's what it was for me. That's how you figure that out. You can compare last year to this year and the difference of what you paid if we had left it doing nothing. And I will be glad to talk to any citizen who wants to call. I'll walk them through it. And remember, this is proposed. You're gonna get a new one. Now, the process is, we certify, then in the spring, the county will send out the final tax statement based on what we certify to them.
I think I would recommend for us, as we roll this out, doing a very simple breakdown like that, realizing like, okay, $72 a year is your change difference from, like, in an actual value. I think we're looking at percentages and all of that, and really, that's really hard for people to conceptualize.
And I think
So if
Audrey and I can do that. We got to the same conclusion independently.
Yeah, like even an infographic. If you guys give me the numbers, I can make it into something pretty, like.
We can do that.
Yeah, I think just,
Even if something that's, some interactive, something that could be put on the website, they could type in their. they could
Not that
actually
good, Delane.
Type in their. What?
I said I'm not that good at figuring.
If she was that good, she'd be working at the county.
Oh, county.
I'd be making a lot more money if I could do
It's
that.
just a formula. I mean, it'd be a web,
But
but I think you could do that in an infographic pretty easily.
we can do that, and we can give some examples like that, comparing last year to this year.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we just want to be able to inform the constituents, like, how this works and what it is.
Give them the right
And I think, Corky's example was nice for people to understand. I think the other part too, at the end of the day, that really is where we need to be a lot more proactive, is how soon we start to review these budgets in the future. I think I would agree with Delane that we absolutely were very thoughtful and thorough in how we went through the budget this year, more so than the other couple of years I've been on. And so I appreciated that, and I appreciate the work that the department heads and Audrey has done in order to make that happen. I would really like us just to make sure that, what is best practice? Is it June to start looking at budgets? When should we actually be doing this? Do you have an idea, Audrey? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just want to make sure that we're in a lot better shape going forward.
We are.
Well,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like when reviewing budgets to make sure that we can get a good prelim.
Ideally, your audit would be done June 30th. You start right away in July working on your budgets. Unfortunately, this year, it just didn't quite work out that way for various circumstances. But ideally, that is the schedule that we should be following.
Right.
Good.
And just so you understand, we've already established internally June 30th as our goal to have our audit done and submitted. Always there's hurdles, but we just met with our auditor and our consultants just this week. And we set that as a goal, and we've outlined some timeframes that we're shooting for. And so that is our goal.
Yeah, I think it would be really beneficial to have something that's on your calendar yearly, that these dates are very clearly noted, and have a work back so we know, like, I think we spent a lot of time in here that I think we could have maybe not done as much of going through budgets, but just being able to work back from whatever the due date is and make sure that we're able to do the same type of process, but in a more timely manner. So.
This may have been asked and probably has been discussed. We're staying with the same audit firm, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Audrey. Roll call, please.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Clot,
Hey,
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma,
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution regarding adopting the 2024 budget.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve
I'll
this
make that
resolution?
motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clayton. Discussion?
Yes, this is the budget that we've worked through for this entire year. We need to also get that adopted and on our way.
Thank you. Further discussion?
I just want to put it out there too. I know that there's some things that are currently and considered for reserves and things. I know that Carrie has done a really good job of looking for grants to also, to cover some of these costs. And I think we need to continue to find other ways to pay for some of the items that we have on here. So I just, even though this is the budget, I still think that we need to be reviewing other opportunities for funding. So.
All right, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Item 8.04 is a resolution regarding the earn, sick, and save time policy for the city of Crookston.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tim. Do I have a second?
Second, Your
Second
Honor.
by Don. Thank you. Discussion.
Yes, the state legislature this year enacted a new, what we used to call PTO or sick leave. Now they call it earned sick and safe time. It's a new policy that becomes effective January 1 of 2024. Our Human Resources Director and myself have looked at the statute, and we need to give guidance to our city department heads and those who are accumulating. We will also have to look potentially at fitting this particular language into our 3 negotiated contracts. But at this point, our policy is really in compliance with this statute, but we have to rephrase some things. We have to decide how we're gonna do this. Are we gonna front load it? Are we gonna just accumulate it over time? But this guidelines complies with the state legislation, and we will be moving forward with it if you approve it.
Thank you. Further discussion. Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Clot.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.05 is a resolution regarding maintaining the facility related to the Highway 2 corridor improvements.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Christie? Thank you. Discussion.
This is an agreement basically with the state saying that when we get the highway corridor finished, we will maintain that facility. That's what they've asked us to do because it's Federal Highway Administration funds and the transportation alternatives. We need to maintain what is constructed.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
Can you explain a little bit more about that? And the only reason I asked this initially was because I know when we looked at changing the direction of the highways or making it both ways, right? That would then make us also responsible for maintaining one of those roads if we made one of them a two-way, right? Because then they would only maintain one as Highway 2. So are you saying that we're then now also taking on the maintenance of all of the corridor by?
No, just those particular roadways that have federal funding.
Yeah, so we're
Because the
responsible
cross
for.
streets are our own.
No, I get that, but are you saying that we're now responsible for those federal highways by them redoing them?
No.
No, it's, what do they mean by facility?
Well, that's the roadways. There's not buildings in the road, but they call them facilities.
Okay.
I just am trying to make sure that we're not then all of a sudden responsible once they've redone the road once to now officially be.
No, we're not completely responsible. It's just asking who's gonna help maintain the roads. This is going towards that TA grant. A lot of times when you apply for it, they wanna know, okay, who's gonna maintain some of the responsibility. It's, to my understanding, it's gonna be a shared responsibility. However, with the streets that belong to the city, we have full responsibility of those ones.
I get that. I just want to make sure that by them spending the money to do this corridor, that not all of a sudden we now then inherit the responsibility of all the patching and all the official construction going forward.
As I understand, it's basically doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
We have some type
So we're
of
not taking
agreement
any
already,
more
right?
responsibility on than we already have, correct?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
We're not taking on any more responsibility than we already have?
No, no.
Okay, that is what I'm looking for.
No,
Right.
Snow removal and on the Highway 2 corridor running through town, that's MinDOT.
Yep.
And
And then for the downtown area, it's gonna be a continued shared responsibility for getting some of that snow out of there.
right,
Yeah,
yep.
And if you remember, they pay us to take some of the
Yes.
snow.
Right,
yep.
Yeah,
right on.
okay. I just want to make sure that we weren't inheriting more responsibilities.
We are not.
That's it. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Clot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma,
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.06 is a resolution regarding the MnDOT transportation grant for the city of Crookston.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll make
resolution?
that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Delane. Discussion.
Yes, this is, again, the Transportation Alternative Program TAP grant. We are taking on responsibility, if this is passed, to be the agent for this grant application and be the person, or the entity that's responsible for funding and how we spend that money. And this is a letter of support for that grant application.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I,
Sorry, can I just ask real quick, is this part of the Safe Routes?
No, it is not.
Okay, it's a
It's
separate one.
grant. Safe Routes to School, Safe Routes to School is up on the northeast part of town. This is downtown in
Okay.
Robert Street, Main Street, that area.
Okay, thank you.
further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Clot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma,
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.07 is a resolution regarding the city of Crookston's establishment of committed fund balances.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So
I'll
moved,
make
Your
that
Honor.
motion. Oh,
Delane and,
Layton? Okay, thank you. Discussion.
What this is your recognition that at the end of every fiscal year, calendar year in our instance, funds are transferred between funds. You have to identify funds, you have to identify how much is going to be transferred from Fund A to B. Since this is our last meeting, we don't yet have the final numbers that are going to be transferred, nor the amounts. But this is something that's done by every city, our city included, at the end of every year. It just authorizes the financial director to identify funds which will be transferred and their amounts and from what funds.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Since this is the last, are we gonna get like an actual like summary? Since we're signing off on something we don't even know.
I believe the answer is yes, but I'll let Audrey say yes.
Yes, so once those funds have been determined and the amounts as well, we will be coming forward with those transfers for your approval.
Okay, so we still are gonna approve those transfers?
Yes, it just needs to be done. There are some funds that need to have a transfer approval done prior to year end.
Okay.
So this is allowing us that flexibility, which we are allowed in those guidelines, to determine those amounts.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Further discussion. Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Clot,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Hibma,
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.08 is a resolution regarding the decertification of tax increments, financial district, or TIF district, 3-4 of the city of Crookston.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane.
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Don. Thank you. Discussion.
Yes, this is a TIF district set up in 1997. It's been fully completed and satisfied. What's necessary is that we pass a resolution basically telling the county auditor, we're done with this, no longer remit any tax increment from this district that was created to the city. It's done.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on, reports. Corky, please.
Dealt with a lot of phone calls this past 10 days regarding the tax levy and those items. And I told them what I told you. I used my own tax statement and went through it. And most of the folks that I spoke with were still assuming 65%. When I walked them through it, they were satisfied. In fact, I even got two people from the county who called and said, I understand you can help us. So we talked to a lot of people like that. We met with representatives of the chamber to discuss their status and try to work through that. It was very productive. We also had Kayla from the EDA we met with and talked about potentialities out at the industrial park. We talked about the pool budget and different items with Jake and Audrey. Also talked with one potential developer coming to town about some potential IRP financing. We're working through that with him. We also had a number of meetings Audrey and I did with the auditors, or not the auditors, our accountants who are here to help us set up new formats. Spent a lot of time with that. Just a lot of things going on. That's all I have.
Thank you. Start with Jake tonight, anything?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of things here. Park staff on the park maintenance side of things, they clear all the snow out. We had a big, kind of a little winter storm here a couple weeks ago. So they got all the sidewalks cleared out and did a good job. Kind of a nice little starter for the season. So all our things worked, and it's kind of nice to get our equipment out. So our full-time staff, they have been working at the CSC. This year, it's been a kind of a struggle finding, I have some help now, but at the start of it was kind of a struggle finding some part-time help. So we have a schedule through January, and they do kind of like a shift work in a sense, whether they're working at the park shop during the day, and then they go to the rink at evenings, and then they work at the rink on the weekends and stuff. So currently I always have one, or if not two, full-time staff at the CSC. So. And then we just continue to work on projects that need to be done that we didn't finish off this fall, with the nice weather. So the pool, we did finish up our December session of swim lessons. We ended that last Friday. We had 23 participants total, and the ages were 3 and up. Our pool hours, we're gonna switch them around a little bit. December 22nd and 21st and 22nd. Our morning hours will be the same, but we're going to move our open swim from 2 to 5 p.m. We're going to be closed December 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and then we'll be back open next week, December 26th, with our regular hours. The CSC, excuse me, currently we have up to date a total of 72 hockey games. This includes college, high school, and youth games. It also includes 2 youth tournaments at a 12U and a Bantam level. The 12U, we brought in, we had a 6-team tournament, so 5 teams from out of town came in, heads on beds, and then Bantams, we had 4 total, so we had a total of 3 from out of town. So looking ahead, we will be hosting a couple more tournaments in January. We'll host a squirt tournament January 5th through the 7th. So it's a Friday, Saturday tournament. Same thing with the Pee-wees. That would be January 19th through the 21st. Each tournament has 8 teams, so 7 out-of-town teams coming. And then we're also going to be hosting a 10UA, a 10UB, and a Squirt B district March 2nd through the 3rd. And then that it also entails, we have sections this year. In February, we host the girls section, so I believe we'll be hosting the semis and the finals. So, and then just a little bit on the campground. I don't have a lot of information, but there will be more to come. They did finish the construction with the sites, all the water and pipes and electricity. The only thing we're gonna be waiting on is in the construction is the roads, the pavement of the roads. And then we did tear down the bathhouse today, so. But I said, there'll be more information to come as we progress more towards the spring and things. And I'm working with Corky and Scott and things like that with the bathhouse and things, so. That's all I got.
So Jake, on the, since we went through the facilities last year and got all them updates done, correct? How is everything working so far? Do you see noticeable
Yes.
differences?
Yep.
Can you explain some of them?
So the big notice I have, the thing that I've noticed is all our pumps are controlled from that network now. So they are not running 100% wide open. They are running when they have to be running, you know, when the sensor triggers it, they have to go, they run. And they don't run 100 miles an hour, you know, they progress to a certain point and then they come back down.
Hey, can you explain what you're talking about?
Sorry.
I know we know, but I'm just wondering.
So like in our, let's just say in our.
Is it the CSC or the pool you're talking?
You're asking the Crookston Sports Center, correct?
Yes, I am.
Yes, so at the Crookston Sports Center, if you go into like our compressor room where all our pumps are that pump out glycol and hot water and things like that, those were the pumps that were really, really running 100 miles an hour, you know, 7 days a week. So.
They weren't efficient,
They
right?
weren't
And then
efficient.
some
Now
things
the
weren't
efficiency
working.
is so much better. Our condenser unit, it has it's what brings the water into our compressor, which cools our compressor so it doesn't shut off by overheating. And that runs more efficient. So you can set temperatures on there. So right now we have it set at 30 degrees. So at 28 degrees, it will turn to water. And then, excuse me, at 28 degrees, it'll turn to air. And it'll just put cold air in. And at 32 degrees, it'll turn to water. So it's like a 2-degree differential. So it's just everything, the heat you can adjust for like the event, to the gold, to the blue, so it's just a lot more
So when
sufficient.
you get your utility expenses, is it is it broken down just by the sports center? Do you guys get those by just the sports center, or? I guess what I'm getting at is I'd like to know how much that saved us on our utilities
Okay.
and like electricity and stuff like that, because I think, you know, I'm so glad we finally got this system working the way it should for who knows how long it hasn't been, but forever.
Since the construction. Yeah, I think we're just looking to see if there's any cost savings by now, having implemented and fixed the
Okay.
things.
I will look
If you're
into
seeing
that.
a
So
savings.
you're fully, you know everything there is to know now about that system, or? No?
No.
Okay. Is that
I'm still,
impossible to?
It's
mean-
just a big system because you also deal with like your HVAC system too, right? So your heat pumps upstairs and things. So it's a lot, but Josh from Wired Electric, he has been phenomenal. It's realistically their phone call. If he doesn't answer, it's a text message, and he gets back to you right away.
So can they dial into the system and look
Yep.
at it and see?
Yep, they can
And do
control
they do that
everything
with
on their end.
any frequency? Do you have a schedule for how often they do a check on systems?
I personally check. I try to check our system like once a week, you know, like that midweek Wednesday. My guys do have keys to my office. They know like at night to go check things. The guys that I have working, my full-timers, they're pretty good at realizing like, you know, like if we're warm in this rink, because we do every 2 hours, we check our ice temps and our gauges and things like that. So they know if something's not working, they can go to that computer and check it out and
Jake,
so.
is something triggered, like that alerts you
I do
or
not have an
the
alarm.
department?
Nope, it's physically walking in and checking.
So, I mean, is there such a thing as alarms?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they can dial in remotely. You can't tell me that they
Right.
can't trigger something where.
I can definitely ask Josh about that. Obviously it's gonna be a cost,
Right,
right? So,
right,
but
but-
it would be nice to get triggered, you know, whatever it is on your phone, you know, nowadays with technology.
I'm just
Right.
curious if that's gonna save us money in the long run, if something's broken for too long or overheats or whatever, if that's gonna cost, we could just find out if
We
there's
get
just
it.
another
Yep,
way for us to
I can
be.
do that. So I'm just,
Yeah.
all right, is that it?
I have two questions.
Okay.
One, are you guys gonna be doing like any kind of like, I know you talked about being at that conference and some of the fun things they had done, like skating with Santa or whatever. Have you guys,
I have not personally have done anything with that. I thought I would, but I've been just really busy with other rec things that have going on right now. But I would like to look at events, maybe not skate with Santa, but maybe some other type of event while the CSD is open, so.
I think, especially, you know, Morgan and I talked a little bit about, you know, once you put the turf down.
Yep.
Like having some days where kids can go in there during
Run
the
around.
spring to,
I do remember you and I talking, I think it might have been last year, looking at those like jumping
Bounce
funds,
houses,
bounce
yeah.
houses, whether you rent them or maybe you rent them the first time, and if they're a hit, we
Yeah.
look at purchasing some
Yep.
for parties and things like that, so.
yeah.
Those are all on my radar and my list.
Okay, yeah, it would be really nice to see some more programmatic stuff there. The other thing I was just thinking about is when, it's great that you're having these big tournaments come in. Have you been like notifying the restaurants
Yep.
and stuff? Okay, good.
Yep, so, the Blue Line Club and I have been working, really well together, and, they actually gave me permission to, use their website, not the whole thing, but just certain parts of their website. So I have been helping with, I use it for the schedules, and I use it for like our tournament page and emailing parents and things like that. So on the tournament page, we have all of our restaurants and hotels, and I've contacted, all of the managers at the restaurants and we have a Google Sheets that we share. So yeah, I think it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, I just think with like a staffing thing, if you have tournaments in and like you have a full restaurant, it would just be nice for them to have
Yeah.
the heads up, to be able to prepare for those types of things and to make sure that people stay in Crookston to
Yes,
patronage our restaurants and hotels.
so,
All right, thank you.
yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Greg, anything tonight?
No report tonight.
Thank you. Shane?
Bless you.
Bless you. Just a couple of things that I've got. The carousel at the fire hall is going to continue as we had an employee leave. So we've got the applications and stuff out, and so I'll keep you updated on that as of right now. So we'll be down to 5 guys again. So working with HR, I'm going to try and figure a couple things out here and see, doing some reflecting and stuff like that, just to see with what we reviewed. Not sure there was much we could have done at that point in time, but it's just something as a learning experience for us, being as short-lived as it was. It wasn't the new firefighter. It was the gentleman that was here starting in August. So he ended up moving back home. Excuse me. Other than that, completed a couple daycare inspections. Working with Greg, we're answering some code questions for a couple businesses. A couple of budget talks with Audrey. Chad was nice enough to take some time out of his day. We had a quick meeting just trying to advance some technology stuff at the fire department. Working with the Polk County EM and then the Roseau County EM. They are getting prepared for Hockey Day in Minnesota. And with our region, reaching out and just doing some preparedness stuff for that. And so just kind of helping wherever we can with that. And then last thing I got is Toys for Tots this Saturday, and I need to thank the City Hall staff for compiling all of the information they did, and also to the fire department families that helped with the shopping and the transport of all the gifts from where they needed to be to where they're at now. And like I said, Saturday morning, we'll have a couple of sleighs going through town. That's all.
Thank you, Shane. Nate, filling in for Darren tonight.
Yep, no report,
All right, thank you. Chad, anything?
Just briefly, Your Honor, as Shane mentioned, I spent some time with him taking a look at some new technology opportunities for the department in the upcoming year and into 2025. Also had an opportunity to meet with the finance department to do preliminary discussions about vendor selection process for our ERP financial system. And that's all I have this evening, Your Honor, unless there are questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck, anything? In the back row.
All right, I'll have a brief report here. Like I stated earlier, I went out to the watershed and was part of their board meeting where they approved funding for the geotech survey that we talked about earlier. I have letters have gone out to residents and businesses about snow and ice removal. And speaking about that, I printed off some maps. You wanted to know a little bit more about the emergency routes. So if we want to pass these around.
Chuck, is this the one that's also on the Facebook page?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And is it on the website too?
That I'm not 100%.
Can we try to get that on there, Chad?
Certainly.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, so I know whenever there is road closure or a snow event, you guys have posted this in the past for people to see what's going on. Well, I think I'm going to try to get this posted on Facebook and, like you said, on the website, just so people are familiar with what's an emergency route. And there's a layer on there so I can make the street names more visible. But everything in red is what we take care of. The items highlighted in yellow, those are state and county. And I drove the roads that we took care of. There is almost all of them consist of parking on both sides.
So the one that I would probably raise, or two streets that I would probably raise questions with and try to get them added to the emergency list is Barrett and Broadway. So they have they'll connect, because those people and those residents up in that area would need a way to get to the, so then they can make their way to
Central and then.
Central and then
Yep.
make their way to the hospitals.
The idea behind the emergency route is we give access to the sheriff's department, the police department, the fire department, and we also clear a route to, I believe it's called the Villa over there. And then if we're able to maintain those routes, keep them open, then we jump over to the main routes, and that's Barrett and North Broadway are part of those. The main routes are in green.
So what do us as a council need to do to change that?
I guess the first question is, how is it determined? How are emergency exit or routes determined first and foremost?
Determined. That I do not know. Okay. This was presented to me. This is what we've used. I think you and I had a brief email.
Yeah.
I said that the snow policy is outdated and it does need to be reviewed, and we can make this part of that discussion.
Yeah, I would very much like to get those two streets added to the emergency routes.
Sure.
Well, and I just think with the development of housing over there too, that probably wasn't considered at one point, so.
Correct, yeah.
But it seems like there's other pieces of that policy we could also review as well. So.
Yes, there's as I said, it seems to be quite outdated, and it does need to be reviewed and updated.
So along with that then,
Yep.
then maybe, do we need to make maybe an ordinance, if there isn't one already, that during a emergency snow route, that during snow events, parked vehicles need to be off those streets?
So in the case of a emergency snow event, that just has to be declared. During that event, cars are not allowed to be parked on the street. During that time, that gets relayed over to the police department. We work with them, and they go out, and our guys, while they're plowing the roads, clearing the roads, they'll call in cars that are parked out there, and then we work with the police department to try to get those cleared up.
I guess the question, with it being so antiquated, is there enough teeth behind your current policies, or do you need something that's more solidified that you can say this is now ordinance or what have you?
So our current policy is 2 pages, and it goes into great detail about what streets the city covers, not so much in any order, just we maintain this street, this parking lot. There is a parking snowplow policy in there that states we're going to, on these days, you're not allowed to park on odd streets or the odd side of the street. And then it changes. I was working with Darren from the police department. I'm currently drafting a new policy to talk about that. And hopefully when I get, all the T's crossed and everything, I can present that to the council.
Sounds good.
Did you guys mention, can I just ask real quick, did you say, was it Barrett and Central you wanted to consider?
Yeah, because in an argument could even be made down in Don's.
Barrett and Broadway.
Down in the, I don't know what that's called, what edition, but it's down in that Houston Avenue edition or whatever that's called. Woods. There should be some type of an emergency route out of there. I'm looking at different parts of the city. You got an emergency route going west from the one-ways through that section there. So that covers that section of town. So the section up by Barrett and Broadway, I think that would need to be covered. And then an argument maybe could be made through like Fremont. That could be like an emergency, because that'll get the people out of that neighborhood to get to that street to make their way out to.
Well, I think the thought behind this is during an emergent snow event, we don't really want people leaving their houses. I mean, what we're trying to do is just keep a main routes open.
What's happening is people are leaving their houses and they're getting stuck, which causes you more headache.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Well, I think, from my understanding, and I think, again, we need to review this, and I don't know if this conversation is going to be productive until we have more historical context, but I think this was for emergency services. This wasn't for everyone in
Right, so these areas that I'm talking about, emergency services can't get into there if there's.
So I would just like to know historically how we came up with this specific thing, and then we can have that conversation.
Yep.
But I don't think it's going to be productive until we find out.
No, that's why I wanted to get it added to an agenda item for some meeting in the future, but.
Yep.
For sure.
I'll gather up all the information I can and then add it to the proper next council meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yep. And yep, that's all I got.
Anything more, Audrey? Nothing more to add. Thank you. Let's start with Morgan tonight. Anything?
Nothing, just want to wish everyone a happy holiday and a good new year and be safe.
Thank you. Christie?
The DCDP canceled their meeting tonight, so I wasn't able to attend, obviously. And then the CVB's meeting has been moved to tomorrow morning, so I will be attending and able to give you a review of that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Happy holidays.
Clayton?
Nothing other than happy holidays to everyone, city staff, and residents of Crookston. That's all I have.
Thank you. Don?
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for everyone.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Lane?
Oh, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and appreciate all the time and effort everybody did and on our levy, so appreciate it.
Thank you. Tim?
I just shout out to all of you for all the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears. And also kudos to the members of the community that come down and listen to us either virtually or here in the chambers. This is the final meeting, I hope, for me, for my first year. And it's been an enlightening experience to learn about city governance. And if opportunities arise and positions open on council, I really encourage members of the community to be part of the solution and join the team. It's been a marvelous experience. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the days.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
Love that we now signed off on all the new city council dates. Can we have somebody send calendar invites right now for all of the dates for 24? So they're just, we already have them electronically. There's a lot of us who rely on our electronic calendars on our phones, so it'd be very helpful to have those all at once and not 5 days beforehand.
Yeah, I agree, I second that.
They'll look into it. I'm vintage. I still like my calendar on my fridge.
Yep, I get it.
Is that because you go there so often?
That's it. I graze from 7 until I go to bed, so. 20,000 comedians out of work, I end up with. I too would like just a big thanks to department heads and Audrey. It was kind of time consuming and a lot of hard work in doing our budget this year. Everybody that showed up for Truth and Taxation, thank you tonight too for Houston Cliff, I think they're calling it. Thanks for the input. Just a reminder too, I'd like to tell everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and just be safe during the holidays. Just a reminder, there's no Ways and Means tonight, so nothing before council. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.